everybody. I'm doing a selfie. See my double chin. This is basically a talk about myasthenia gravis. I don't have myasthenia gravis. I think I have a syndrome, myasthenic syndrome, which means I was born with it. This right eye was droopy. Anyway, today is an excellent day, guys. I've been able to find an anti-inflammatory that's been able to help me with this condition. Good guidance from my doctors, and everything seems to be okay. We can't just nail it down as myasthenia gravis because it is not that. It is certainly the syndrome, if it is anything at all. And what this does to me is basically it weakens me. Okay, so if you think about a battery, okay, like your computer battery, for instance, you have, 4 hours of battery life in a normal, healthy battery. Okay, with this condition, and anybody who has myasthenia, because it's very similar, what happens is that your range is slowing a little bit dirty on the chin, but that's okay. Your range is diminished. Okay, so if somebody comes, like I'm holding this camera up right now, I'm having difficulty because my arm is fatiguing. Okay, so you're going to see a little phone here. I'm going to try and keep it behind and you just switch to my left arm. That's the kind of thing you see with myasthenia gravis and the syndrome. Okay, fatigue. Look at my eyes today. They're excellent. But you might notice if you look at my eyes closely, they're two different colors, but one is smaller than the other, and that's this droopy here. Now, whenever I experience periods of, gotta get the finger out, periods of, emotional stress, you have an argument with somebody or whatever, I find that the effects are identical as if I worked too long and too hard in a hot, humid environment. What happens there is that my legs will go. Okay, so I'll get really weak, my legs will get really shaky, I'll start getting shoulder pain, neck pain. If it gets really bad, I get this head pain, it comes straight down here, and then what happens is really bad. I collapse, I crap myself, I have difficulty breathing. It feels like somebody's sitting on my chest and they're just not letting me breathe. And it doesn't feel like a heart attack or anything. It just feels like, you know what? Breathing has stopped and there's nothing I can do to change that. Kind of scary. But the thing is, get cool. Okay? I'm going to tell you right now, what works for me is getting cool. So if you get cool, those symptoms will diminish somewhat. And if you're suffering emotional stress, I highly recommend that you reduce that and try to eliminate it if you can, because it won't serve you any good. It'll do absolutely identical symptoms will emerge as if you were working too hard in a hot, humid environment. It's exactly the same. It's stress. It's a different kind of stress. So if you have this condition that I have, well, I'm pretty certain I have, you have to manage it very carefully. So you can still work and you can still contribute to society, but you have to do it in a way where your reserves, you have to budget your energy. Okay? So you have to make time for your children, you have to make time for work and all the aspects of everyday life. But there are going to be times where you have to go to bed and lie down and get some sleep. Take your anti-inflammatory medication or whatever medication the doctor has given you. I am not a doctor, okay? I'm an old nurse, but I'm a retired nurse because I couldn't do it because of this damn condition, right? Because nurses walk an awful lot. And I wasn't able to do that, and it was devastating. I couldn't understand why I lost this career. Really, I loved it. I'm very passionate about people. But there's another thing, too. With this condition, you lose your passion because you just don't care. It's about existing. It's about living. It becomes that. It becomes a very dark and awful place. So if you are suffering from one of these illnesses, you know what? You're not alone. Okay? I have weight problems because I have activity intolerance, right? But today is a good day. It's 19 degrees Celsius outside. It's not sunny. My eyes are bright and shiny. I do not have a headache. I get a headache with this, okay? And I had it for 30 years, varying degrees, okay? I think it was a myasthenic headache, but I'm not a doctor. But I am a person who's lived with it for 30 years, so I think I'm qualified to speak on it somewhat. Okay, I've experienced a lot of frustration with this illness. Now, I go to my neurologist, and I'm tickety-boo. I feel just fine, because I've turned the corner. it goes into remission too, right? So she's trying to figure out, what the hell is this? Well, I'm just dancing around and prancing around like I have no issues at all, because I don't. Okay, but when I didn't have my anti-inflammatory, you know what happened? I was very sick. Oh yeah. My mood was down, my energy reserves were extremely down, and of course in the summertime, it was way worse. I still managed to have a life with my family last summer. It was challenging. My wife is totally responsible for making it happen. Anybody who has a spouse, if you have this condition or you have a spouse with this condition, you can understand it affects your life too, because you have to plan around your husband or your wife's illness. And this is a serious illness, guys. Don't take it lightly, okay? But don't use it as a crutch either, because you can have a damn good life if you figure it out. Now, I'm not qualified to give you any advice. Please understand that. I'm just telling you the way I exist and the way I live. Okay, and there is hope. Now, this is a really bad condition. When I don't have my anti-inflammatories, I'm really sick. And if I ever get there again, I don't think I will, because I got a good, my doctor has been very good about taking good care of me. He's given me a good script that is very helpful. Slurred speech. Okay? You're going to notice that with this condition. Droopy eye. Another thing I found, bite your lip, bite your tongue. Not happening today. You can see I'm bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. And difficulty swallowing. Okay? And one of the things I noticed is when you're eating a hot meal, or sit down with your family and have a nice warm meal. God, you'd love to have a nice warm meal. Who wouldn't, right? We don't. Because it makes us tired. My experience is I like my food. Now, you know that. I've got the double chin, right? But I'm telling you right now, when I'm having a bad day and I go sit down at that dinner table, and sometimes I'm hungry, just like anybody else, I'll eat, I have difficulty chewing, I get fatigued, I'm not choking anymore, which is really good on my spit and stuff like that. This is a horrible, horrible, scary illness, and I'm not going to lie to you. But you can avoid those crises by simply playing it the middle ground, the middle road. Okay, I can give you advice on that because that's what works for me. You give it a try, maybe it'll work for you. Not too much stress, emotional stress, or workplace stress. You have to manage that. Okay, home stress too, you want to keep it. And alcohol is an absolute no-no. No smoking. You don't want to introduce any heat to your body at all. Nicotine, like I find people smoking cigarettes, I get around them. This really brings me down, and I do not know, and I do not understand why. I'm sure a neurologist might be able to tell me, but, but it really affects me. This eye will droop, and then I'll start getting a headache and stuff like that. Also, too, I'm long-winded here, but this is really important for people who are suffering out there, and really, you should understand this. Myasthenia gravis, or syndrome, they're similar, okay? It's not a death sentence. All right, you go do your research online, okay? You go and find out as much as you can about anti-inflammatories. Talk to your doctor. They're the ones who give you the proper medications, and they will tell you how to take it, when to take it, and they also tell you some of the nasty side effects, because my neurologist told me some of the nasty side effects to watch out for. And then, of course, you got to come off these drugs because you'll end up with a cholergenic crisis. All right, and you have difficulty breathing and all kinds of problems. But you know what? You're going to have periods of time where you're going to be okay. Quality of life is what matters, right? So that's where we're going with this. You need to get proper rest. Okay? You get that proper rest. You limit the amount of emotional stress in your life. Avoid conflict. See, I'm having a bit of a problem talking, but not too bad. Conflict. Avoid it. I mean it. Something else you want to avoid is strenuous activity during hot, humid periods in time, and also irregular times too. Because I find that sometimes if I push it too hard, I used to love to play sports, but one of the things I found out when I was young was very interesting. When I was young and in college, I played hockey one night, and they needed a goalie. And guess what? They suited me up because, hey, I'm a big guy and I'm not too bad a goalie. You know what happened to me? I collapsed. Yeah. They had to carry me off the ice into the dressing room. They cooled me down with ice, and then I was okay after a while. They didn't take me to the hospital. Couldn't figure out. I was throwing up. I was weak-kneed. I couldn't walk. My hips were aching. My back was aching. My head was aching. And it felt like a steel rod was right through my spine all the way down to my, well, right down into my arsehole. It was really, really painful. And then eventually, it took me about 3 days to recover from that. Okay, and that was one of the signs, okay, that I didn't see, and that was when I was about 20 years old in college. I know I still have that youthful look. Well, also dental problems. Notice I'm missing some teeth? That's coming from the depression, guys. You end up with a mood disorder with this. No kidding. Oh yeah, very serious. And I went a long time with this mood disorder. And my wife stayed with me, amazingly. It's hard for caregivers, and you really got to appreciate them. Caregivers are vitally important, and this kind of disorder, it robs you of a lot of different things, guys. Your sex life, it really diminishes it. Like when you're fatigued and tired and stuff like that, but when you're good, you're good. You know what I'm saying? And also, too, you might notice as you progress with age, with this particular illness, you develop type 2 diabetes and some other complications because of the activity intolerance related to this illness. But again, like I say, it's not a death sentence. I mean, I can do something about this. If I could lose the weight, find a way. Like today, I'm going to do a lot of exercising, and I have already. And I'm going to continue to do that while I can. And now the days where I don't feel like doing it, I have to try. It's really going to fatigue me. It's really going to push me. But I have to try. And I've got good medication so that whenever I come back from that walk, or whatever it is, I not change hands because my arms are getting sore. That's one of the typical symptoms. You have to give yourself proper rest and hydration. Now, keep it cold. That's all you really need to know. Hot coffee? Oh boy. When you have that myasthenia headache, stay away. Hot tea? No good. Anything warm? No good. Smoking? No. No, 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 no. Hot is bad. Keep it cold. Keep it cool. Now, there's another thing, too. In the middle of winter, you might notice if you have this condition, you're tired all the time. Yeah, it's true. I do not know why this is, but I have a theory. I have a theory that your immune system is affected by this. So I'm having a feeling that the cold impacts your body, puts stress on your immune system, and makes you fatigued. And then I get the droopy eye, I get the tiredness, I get the apathetic feelings. Like I just want to get through it. I don't really have any emotional investment in anything. It's just kind of like a process, and that's sad because I am a very caring individual. I work with I have the privilege of working in autism with autistic teenagers, children, and adults. And it is a privilege. But if anybody knows anything about autism, boy, oh boy, there's a lot to think about whenever you're working with these folks. Okay? So it's a stressful job, but it's the stress I love, okay? It's not going to affect this condition not even a bit. No, that's not what it is. When I talk emotional stress, I'm talking about conflict in maybe your house with your wife or your spouse or your children, whatever. Or maybe at work you have a conflict with a coworker or what have you. This can add emotional stress. Maybe you're having problems at work due to your illness, right? And you don't understand what it's all about. Well, I didn't understand either. And I went for years wondering, why am I having good days and why am I having, just absolutely awful days? I really don't know. It's really hard to say. There's so many things about this disorder. And another thing, too, you guys may not know this, but I also have cluster headaches. Now, cluster headaches, I'm not talking much about them because they're not much of a problem these days anymore for me. But it's right-sided, and it was always here. And my neurologist here in this area, who I was seeing, was convinced that this weakness and everything was all related to the cluster headaches. And I did my own research on it, and I couldn't find any literature suggesting, even remotely, that cluster headaches had anything to do with weakness, vomiting, or anything like that. Because that's not how it works. Because if you have cluster headaches, one thing you're going to know is like, you're going to get to a point during that cluster attack that you're going to hope you get hit by a meteorite or somebody stabs you or kills you, and you hope to die. And then 2 minutes later, you're carrying on like nothing ever happened. You get a euphoric feeling for about a minute, maybe two, and then you just carry on. That's a cluster headache. This is not a cluster headache. To me, this is a myasthenic headache. Now, if my neurologist is out there watching this, I hope this was more useful to you than me talking to you when I'm having a bad day, because I can't even focus on my thoughts. Another thing, double vision. I work in education. I do a lot of reading. Some days, I kid you not, I read at a grade 2 level. Why is that? Because I can't focus on the words, and I'm very tired. I didn't recognize this first as a problem. I thought, well, maybe it's just because I stayed up late watching a hockey game, or who knows, So as time went by, and then of course I went to see a doctor in Ottawa who's a very good physician. Unfortunately, he's going to retire, and he's a good guy, and he's very thorough, and he's never quick to rush to judgment. Well, anyway, the first time he saw me, he gave me a medication. I guess he might have suspected that I had something similar like this, MS or whatever. He gave it to me, and I took it, and of course I didn't know what I was doing, right? And there was no directions with this medication. He just figured that I would figure it out, and he was right. I did, because and I started giving myself more to try and improve my situation. Hopefully it would help. And something really surprising happened. I went to him for my headaches, by the way. I went to try and get some relief from my headaches. So what happened initially is I did not get any relief for this headache that goes from my eye right up to here. Okay, nothing. Okay, however, something did happen, really fundamental. I didn't recognize that I had a slurred speech. Okay, I didn't recognize that because it was a mild slur, but some days it was really bad. And I took this medication with a higher dosage. And two things happened to me immediately, and it stunned me. What had happened is that it was an anti-inflammatory, by the way. I'm not qualified to talk about these things. You talk to your doctor. Anyway, what happened is I got instantly, I was able to speak and articulate my words much better. Okay? I could bite down. I stopped choking on food and my spit. Okay, because that was happening a lot. I stopped slurring my words. I was able to focus a little bit better. I could see a little bit better by days. When I had my bad days, I had less of them. Okay, but it did not get rid of this headache. Okay, but I found something else that did, and I was very fortunate to find it. And I used it, and I told my doctor about it, and he said, "Yeah, cool. Some of these things are pretty cool." I mean, they're old medications, but sometimes they do wonders. And I use an old medication, and guess what? I'm okay. Again, I'm not qualified to talk about what it is or anything like that because I'm not a doctor. I'm an old retired nurse. But that doesn't make me a doctor, guys. Because nurses take orders from doctors. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to sit here and tell you how to take care of yourself. Now, I'm getting a little bit long-winded. We're getting towards the end of this video, and I'm going to talk more about this. I've got a little channel going. You're welcome to come and join me at any time, and make your comments down below. I'll answer them to the best of my ability. I'll tell you about my experiences. I will never give you advice, okay, like online, like talking to you, because, again, I told you I'm not a doctor, okay? But I'm just saying I'm empathizing with everybody here struggling with this particular illness. It's a good day, so I thought today would be a great day for filming. I'm long-winded and just, full of shit, right? But please, never give up. Very serious. You can probably see my eye drooping a little bit. I'm getting a little tired, but not too bad. Also, do you get vocal changes too, okay? Yeah, my voice is pretty clear today. But there's some days where I talk like this and I have a hard time talking. You'll get that, okay? And nasally. You can probably hear them a little bit nasally. Well, that's actually sinuses, but sometimes whenever this kicks in there, and you get redness too around here, and you get the blockage. But things are far better for me today because I went to see a very good doctor. I GP, and I suspect there was something wrong. I requested to go see a neurologist. Went to see them 3 different neurologists, and the last one, who is a whip, she is awesome. She's in Ottawa. This woman would not commit to a diagnosis, and wisely so. And she's good to be skeptical because we don't really know what this is. But I do think it's barking and talking like myasthenic syndrome. Okay? So follow along if you wish. Your journey, you may have MS, you may have something else. Please, we're together. You're welcome here on this page anyway, because we share some of the same unique struggles every day. So maybe you might be able to get some help from me, from what I'm doing. You might see something and maybe you might want to mimic it. Like, for instance, I'm working on a device that you can put around your ankles and your knees, and I'm going to try and retrofit it around my head. And what it does is it goes in, circulates through cold ice, and it's water, and it comes up through. And if it could get my temple, I think it would greatly reduce my discomfort and probably increase my cognitivity, because I'll tell you something else about this, guys. Brain fog. Oh, yeah. If you're trying to get stuff done and you don't have the passion to do it because you're just like feeling like carp, you're not feeling good, you're not going to do it. And you're going to fail miserably, and you're going to feel horrible about yourself, and your self-esteem is going to go down the pooper. Don't let that happen to you. Suck it up and deal with it. This is a tough illness, but you're tougher. I hope I give you words of encouragement, and I hope I helped somebody somehow. But anyway, I'll be doing a series of videos of this when I'm feeling good. Because I'll tell you something, when you don't have any energy, you can't do anything. All right, this is Rob. You take care of yourself. Trying to get my finger articulated to the proper spot. You take care of yourself, and I'll see you soon, okay? Probably in about a month. When we get the real humidity, I'll show you what humidity does to me. And I'm sure it does to many other people with this condition. Stay well, and if you're not well, get well. Think anti-inflammatory and see your doctor. Absolutely. Get this finger thing figured out. Take care, everybody. Love to everyone.